Welcome and good afternoon. This is Commish Orr, and today we're going to give a little update on day two, the second day of season two of the Payoff Pitch Pops League season that I'm running right now. So just going to give you a little brief update on the four games included in that. Another little update on some upcoming videos on the channel. I do have a full review of season ticket baseball coming up, probably within the next week or two. And I'll also be doing a review of a book that I've read, and probably do a couple of those book reviews as I'm reading a couple of baseball books lately, and thought I'd give you some updates on that. So kind of be watching for that stuff on the channel. Consider, if you don't want to miss anything, consider subscribing and all that fun stuff. But today is just a little brief update on the second day of the Payoff Pitch season that I'm doing. And to give you a little bit of background, there are 8 teams, 4 American League, 4 National League, 3 of which are made up of Hall of Famers, and the 4th team is players that aren't in the Hall of Fame. They're retired, but either they're not eligible yet or they just aren't in the Hall of Fame for whatever reason, but still good players nonetheless. So that's kind of the league setup, and I'm playing a 1/3 of a season, so 54 games, and we are in day 2, or the second day of games here in the league. You can always head over to baseballmaelstrom.com if you want to follow the action and kind of see what's going on in the league and that kind of thing as well. I do have another project that is Season Ticket Baseball, Best of the 30s tournament, so you can check that out as well. But in any event, just a very brief recap of these games. The first one was between the New York Swats and the Detroit Rockets. The Rockets are the non-Hall of Fame team, and they had won the first game of the season, and they take game 2 6-1, thanks to a barrage of home runs in the first 4 innings against Mike Messina, who was pitching for the New York Swats. They had a couple of home runs, a home run in the very first inning by Dick Allen, who's the cleanup hitter for the Detroit Rockets. And Allen actually had another homer in the third. He went back-to-back. He and Miguel Cabrera went back-to-back there in the third. And then Lou Whitaker hit the 4th home run in the 4th inning. So Detroit had a 6-0 lead at that point. And Frank Tanana actually went 8 innings in this one, allowing only 7 hits, 1 earned run. He struck out 4 and walked 1. New York just couldn't get anything going. In fact, they didn't score until the 8th inning when Cal Ripken Jr. hit a triple to score Yogi Berra there in the 8th. So Detroit takes game 2 of the series. I think it's a 2-game series actually, 6-1. And they improve their to 2-0 so far, as New York falls to 0-2. Heading over to the National League side of things, we had the St. Louis Wizards facing off against the Chicago Docs. Again, the Chicago Docs are the non-Hall of Fame team in the National League. St. Louis Wizards were the World Series team in the National League last year. They faced off against the Detroit Rockets in the World Series. However, there has been a little bit of shuffling of lineups. I did a redraft, which affected the Hall of Fame teams, of course. So the team's a little bit different, though a lot of the players are still the same here for St. Louis. In any event, St. Louis did take an early lead, 3-0 against Rick Russell here. Willie Mays hit a homer in the second, and then had a 2-run triple in the third to put them up 3-0. However, Chicago fought back against Robin Roberts, scoring their first run in the 4th when Sammy Sosa hit a triple, scoring Barry Bonds, who had walked to start off the 4th inning. And then Sosa would score actually on a ground out by Albert Pujols, the very next batter, to cut the lead to 3-2. And then in the next inning, Keith Hernandez hit an RBI double to tie the game 3-3. But Chicago was not done scoring there, as in the 6th, they had another run scored thanks to Troy Tulowitzki's RBI single that scored Jim Edmonds in the 6th. And then they scored a couple more runs in the 7th thanks to, once again, Sammy Sosa, who had a 2-run double. Sosa was 3 for 4 with a single, double, and a triple in this game, and actually drove in 3 of the 6 Chicago Docs runs. Now, St. Louis did make it interesting in the 9th against Billy Wagner, who was coming in to close the game, when Pop Lloyd led off with a double, and Mike Piazza hit a 2-run homer that cut the lead to 6-5. So it looked a little shaky there for Wagner. However, after Joe Morgan singled, he did get Stan Musial to ground into a double play and then struck out Larry Walker to end the game. And so Chicago takes this one 6-5. They are now 2-0 also. The Chicago was the last place team in the National League last year, but they start this one 2-0 this season. Heading back to the American League, we have the Boston Splinters facing off against the Oakland Jacks. And it was a little bit of a brutal showing by Oakland, who had taken an early lead 3-0 there in the second inning against Bert Blyleven. When Blyleven walked Ken Griffey Jr., hit Reggie Jackson. Then Mickey Cochran had an RBI single. Hank Greenberg had an RBI double. Eddie Collins grounded out that scored another run to get them three runs there. Eddie Collins actually had a sac fly in the fourth that scored yet another run to put him up 4-0 at that point. But the fifth inning is where things really fell apart. And Lefty Grove had a very rough inning, though not really his fault, as Lou Boudreau bobbled a Goose Goslin grounder to start the inning. Bobby Doerr actually grounded out to third, and then Ivan Rodriguez hit a double, and Tris Speaker then grounded out to first, which would have been the third out, except for that error that led off the inning. Unfortunately, that was followed by a Ted Williams RBI single, a Mickey Mantle double, and then another error, this time on Reggie Jackson, who misplayed a fly ball that extended the inning even longer. When all was said and done, Boston batted around, and you had a 2-run single by Wade Boggs later in the inning, a 2-run double by Goose Goslin. They had 7 unearned runs there in the fifth inning thanks to those 2 errors, predominantly thanks to Lou Boudreau's error to start the inning that kind of extended things, but then Reggie's also extended things a little bit later on. So Boston took the 7-4 lead, actually, scored 3 more runs in the sixth, capped off by a 2-run homer by Frank Thomas. And that was really all they needed, though they added another couple of insurance runs in the eighth against Whitey Ford. So Boston takes this one 12-4. Again, 7 of those runs were unearned. And they split the series with Oakland here to lead off season 2 here of the Payoff Pitch League. Blyleven picks up the win. He allowed 4 earned runs and only 6 hits in his 8 innings. Lefty Grove went 6 innings. He did allow 10 hits. Only 3 of those runs were earned again. But this is an outing that I think the team will hopefully forget, or hope to forget soon. Finally, we head back to the National League as the LA Dynamos faced off against the Houston Hoots. We had Tom Seaver on the mound against Pete Alexander. And for much of the game, or for the first couple innings at least, it looked like Seaver would be cruising. There was an error in the first, but other than that, he retired every other batter he faced up until the third inning, when an unlikely Archie Vaughn home run there in the third inning kind of led off the scoring for Houston. They get another couple of runs when Oscar Charleston hit a 2-run triple there a little bit later in the inning to put them up 3-0. Meanwhile, LA just couldn't get anything going against Pete Alexander, and Alexander allowed just 5 hits in his 8 innings of work. They did finally score on him in the 6th. Cristobal Torriente had a RBI single there in the 6th for LA's run to cut the lead 3-1, but then Houston got it right back in the bottom of the 6th when Eddie Matthews had an RBI single of his own. So Houston took a 4-1 lead into the 9th, turned things over to Bruce Sutter, and much like the other game, Sutter actually made things interesting. After retiring Todd Helton and Chipper Jones, we had Archie Vaughn, who had that home run in the 3rd, actually booted the ball in the 9th, Pee Wee Reese grounder that would have ended the game, and Ralph Kiner punished Houston for that with a 2-run homer to follow that up. That made things 4-3. And Jackie Robinson followed that with a single, so things got really interesting. But then Gary Carter grounded out to end the game, grounded out to Ron Santo to end the game. or excuse me, grounded out to Eddie Matthews to end the game. So Houston took this one. Alexander, again, allowed just one earned run. Bruce Sutter with a couple of unearned runs there in the ninth, but does pick up the save. Seaver actually went the distance. He allowed 7 hits and 4 earned runs in his 8 innings of work, but definitely not the kind of start that he wanted for his first start of the season here. So if we head over to the front page, you can see kind of the standings so far. Detroit and Chicago are both undefeated. Ironically, the two non-Hall of Fame teams undefeated. And so you can, again, if you go to baseballmaelstrom.com, you can kind of see the standings. You can see the upcoming schedule for tomorrow's games, and you can see the scores of past games as well. If you click on the Pops Season 2 stats, you can get the stats, the ball stats for the season. So as you can see here, here's what you would see. You can see the standings page. You can see league leaders, and all of that fun stuff using if you head over to the website. So once again, just a quick update for Season 2 of my Payoff Pitch League. I'm kind of rotating this with my Season Ticket Baseball Best of the 30s League, so you'll see those kind of go back and forth. But the standings on the front page and the upcoming schedule and the scores are all for the Payoff Pitch League. And of course, you can see the full schedule if you want by clicking up here. You can see the stats for this by clicking up here, and then you can see Season 1 stats if you want to go to the Season 1 League page. You can see the Payoff Pitch Season 1 stats up here as well as the Best of the 30s tournament and my History Maker Baseball tournament page. The History Maker Baseball is one project that I completed recently as well. All right, with all that said and done, again, be on the lookout for a couple other videos coming up that are a little bit different. And hopefully you enjoyed this quick recap of these games. Follow for all the action, and until next time, have a great evening.